stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.
Hello and welcome back to We Are Mighty. You know, I just want to say, first of all, we've been doing this for 6 months, and I appreciate y'all for still rocking with me. I know it's not easy to discuss or even listen to someone discuss their grief, so I appreciate every person who is still here. Even if you're a first-time viewer, I appreciate you as well. I'm here for a reason, and it's not just to be sad and cry my eyes out. It's really to hopefully reach someone and be an encouragement to someone. And I've actually had people who have come to me and said thank you for having this podcast because my words have helped them, or my situation, my experiences have helped them in dealing with their own. And I'm very appreciative of that, and I'm happy to hear that because that's the way that I wanted it to be, and that's why I'm doing this. It's also a release for me. It's also a way for me to deal with my grief. But if I can help someone else, that makes it so much better for me. So I appreciate and love all of you guys. Thank you so much. So how have you been for the last couple of weeks? I've been actually doing better, I'll say. Starting to navigate this new lifestyle of mine, I guess, in dealing with court appearances, and which usually don't last very long. Right now, it's a lot of status hearings, but like I told my family, I won't miss a day. I don't care if I sit for 2 hours just to hear them speak for 5 or 6 minutes about, you know, how this guy pleads or whatever is the next step in the court case. But I'm going to see this through to the end because I do want justice for my baby. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, we had at our church a shut-in. And, you know, I've mentioned before that I'm a praise and worship leader. I sing on the praise and worship team. And this was a 5-hour shut-in. Over the course of the shut-in, there were several songs being sang. There was also prayers. There was also speakers. But my focus, of course, was how much I had to sing. And if I'm honest, I did not want to do it. My pastor's not one of those people who take no as an answer. So I didn't really have much of a choice, but I really just was not feeling it for some reason. Leading up to it, the day of, I didn't know what was going on. I felt like this doesn't feel like it's just a shut-in. I think it's like a concert. They just want us to sing and sing and sing and then sprinkle a little bit of prayer in the middle. Like, I really was trying to be defiant, and I didn't really know where it came from, but I was torn. So before it was time for the shut-in to begin, I got to the church a little early, and I sat with my head in my hands, you know, like kind of laying down a little bit and just trying to get myself into focus, because whether I wanted to or not, it was going to start. And I had to, you know, be prepared. I had to sing. I had to maybe say some things. And when it came time for the shut-in to start, our pastor got up and he said, "This is not a concert." And it was funny because all of us singers was like, yeah, this list of songs that we're looking at is not telling us that, but okay. And he said, you know, do what you feel. Speak how you feel. If you want to pray, go ahead and pray. If you want to, you know, have a testimony, go ahead and give your testimony. And of course, I led the very first song. So I'm singing the song and I get to a certain part, there's a break in the music, and I just start talking. And before I realize it, I'm talking about how I've had so much happen, you know, over the course of the last year, and all of the things I've gone through, starting with losing my son and, losing my friend, losing my dog, losing my job, just everything that I was dealing with. And while I was speaking, I looked over at someone who was dealing with a serious medical condition. And I remember saying something along the lines of, you never know who's watching what you're dealing with and listening to the words that you say, because there may be someone out there who's not as strong as you, who's seeing what you're dealing with, and you are an encouragement to them. And I said that as an encouragement to her, and I could just see like this relief come over her face. And I'm like, okay, I'm actually reaching somebody here. And I continued just speaking on, even though I've dealt with the worst year of my life as far as I'm concerned, I still feel like I have a purpose. I still feel like there was a reason for it. And I still feel like there's something that God's using me for. And towards the end of the song, I was in tears, and I felt like there was a shift. It was really weird, but I felt like there was some kind of a shift. And after the song ended, I actually had to go out into the hall because I was crying uncontrollably. And my husband was trying to console me and everything. And after I finally let out that cry that I feel like I had been holding in for maybe the course of that year, I took a deep breath, and everything just felt a little bit different. Went back in. I didn't feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. I was re-energized, and I was able to, go through the rest of that shut-in with a completely different mindset. It ended up the way that it went. We didn't even sing all of the songs that were on our list, because you know how things happen when you're in church and people are speaking or praying or giving a testimony. You can't put a time frame on it. So although it was all blocked out, it didn't go the way that it was blocked out. So I didn't have to sing as many songs. But it actually was refreshing for me. And it actually helped me to realize some of the things that I'm going through, the possible reason for those things that I've been dealing with and that I've been going through. And I didn't feel so bad, because I know that there's people who actually are worse off than me, even with that whole year, literally, of loss after loss, pain after pain, that there are people who are dealing with more than I am. And I salute those people, and I hope you stay strong, and I hope you stay with it and stay the course of whatever it is that God has in store for you. Earlier this week, I saw a post from Tyler Perry talking about the apartment that he used to rent and how it was, run down and wasn't very expensive. He was behind on his rent and everything. And he started doing his plays while he was living in this apartment. And he got into the position where he was able to, pay his rent, get it caught up, start paying on time. But he still stayed in this apartment. And the landlord ended up evicting him, saying, it's been too long and you were behind and, you're caught up now, but I don't think you should be here anymore. And he was saying it to give a message of sometimes we get comfortable in the place that we are to where we won't venture out and do anything else. And he kind of put it as the way that landlord did it in making him be out on the street. He had to change some things. He had to do some things and venture out and go to some uncharted territory. And I kind of feel like some of what I've been through is the same way for me. I know the job that I was doing, I'd been there for years. I was comfortable there. I wasn't venturing out to some of the things that I wanted to do as a result of my son's death, because there's some community things that I wanted to do. But with that job, I didn't have the time to do what I wanted to. I barely had the time to film this podcast. So I've started to look at things from a different perspective. Maybe that was me being put in a place to where I have to do something different. I have to go out after something different so that I can truly fulfill my purpose. Like I said before, the purpose of this podcast wasn't to be sad all the time and I'm dealing with grief and I want you to feel as low as I feel. The purpose was to be uplifting. And that's what I'm trying to do. So that shift that I felt at that shut-in at church and the shift that I felt just in seeing the words from Mr. Perry, it's really gotten me on a bit of a high, if that makes sense. And I'm trying my best to stay there. I know one of the hardest things for me right now is accepting the fact that it's okay to enjoy life. I don't want to enjoy life. And that's wrong. But I don't want to enjoy life because I am not ready to accept a life without my son. But the problem is, whether I want to accept it or not, my baby's gone. Now, that's hard because since 1997, all of my enjoyment in life came from my family, my kids. I shared all of my happy moments with my boys. My boys shared all of their happy moments with me. So it's weird to try to enjoy life and not have both of them with me. And I've noticed my older son who's still here, and even my stepson who's still here, they look to me sometimes to help them deal with their negativity or the things that are bringing them down. And of course, as a mother, I'm going to do what I have to bring their spirits up. But they also know, well, Mama, you're still down. You should be able to smile more. You should be able to enjoy what life has in store for you. So that's kind of been my vow just in the past couple of weeks, I'm being honest, to try to live life more enjoyably. Try to be a little bit happier. Try to take the negative and flip it to a positive like I always used to do. Does it mean I'm not grieving? Absolutely not. I miss my son every day. I grieve over his loss every day. I miss my friend every day. I miss my dog. But I'm just trying to not let that completely overtake my life. It's now a part of my life, and it will continue to be a part of my life. But I'm trying to learn how to still enjoy life, even though that dark cloud is there. I just want that cloud to shrink. It'll never go away. Storms will never go away. But right now, the cloud that's taking over, that's putting such a shadow over my life, is that cloud of grief. And I am determined. I'm determined to not let that dark cloud become my identity. I want my identity to be that of, yes, a grieving mother, but a grieving mother who turned that grief into something positive. A grieving mother who's been there for other mothers, who's able to reach out to people, to do whatever I can to stop the violence in my city, in my state, in our country, whatever I need to do. But it's not going to happen overnight. I know that. It's little by little. But I'm proud of myself for at least taking this small step, because it's just a small step right now. Like I said, it's only been a couple of weeks, but I'm trying to ride this thing. I'm trying to ride it so it becomes bigger. That small step becomes a bigger step, becomes a jump, becomes a leap, until I soar. I have to. Because otherwise, this cloud will completely consume me. I also heard a saying that it's extremely difficult to pull yourself out of a place of mental darkness. I absolutely agree. I've been going to therapy every week for months, since before this podcast, for months. And I've still been in that place. Yes, the therapy has been helping when I'm in the session and I'm talking, and it's good for me to, express things and get the input of my therapist. But then once I leave, first date, I'm still there. But a couple of days go by and then I start to feel myself slump again. So I had to pull myself out of that mental darkness. And I really feel like that's where I am. I'm pulling myself from this mental darkness. The sunlight looks different. Each day looks a little bit brighter. And I'm finally to the point where I'm okay with it. Again, doesn't take away the grief. Doesn't change the fact that my son is gone. But I can live my life. And that's what I'm here to encourage you to do today. If you're dealing with the loss of a loved one, I'm not saying now's your time. I can't tell you when your time is. But take a moment to think about, what can I do? What can I focus on? Or how can I pull myself out of this mental darkness, if even for a few minutes? Should I write in a journal? Should I talk to a friend on the phone? Should I go to therapy? I know we as minorities, for whatever reason, we think we don't have to go to therapy. Trust me, it works. See a therapist, see a psychiatrist, psychologist. Focus on your mental health. It is so important. If your mental isn't right, everything else is going to deteriorate. And until you take the steps to correct that, it will consume you. It will eat you alive. And you can be, just like they say there's functioning alcoholics. They may drink when they're at home, and when they're out in public, you would never know it. I think that's what I was. Not an alcoholic, but a functioning, grieving mother. Whenever I was out in public, I'd put on that facade, but I had people who would tell me my smile wasn't the same and, those things. But when I got home, I would slump, sit on the couch under his picture. I wouldn't want to do anything. I didn't want to deal with anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. The TV would be on. I couldn't tell you what was on the screen because it was just consuming me. And I'm trying to just pull myself up just a little bit at a time, because every little bit adds up. Every inch adds up. Once you get to 6 of them, you're at half a foot. Once you get to 12, you're at a foot. Then 2 feet, 3 feet. Every little bit. Even if you start with a centimeter and not an inch, millimeter, it's progress. Again, no one can tell you the speed of your progress. No one can tell you when your progress will take place. No one can tell you when to start it. It's just something to think about. How long have I been allowing this grief to consume me? Am I ready to try to put one foot forward, to move towards enjoying life? And don't think that you may not have a situation where you fall backwards. That's okay. You may take 5 steps forward and then fall back 3, but you still made progress of 2 steps, right? So just make a conscious effort to even look at your situation and just see if maybe you can make that first step. If you can't right now, that's fine. Maybe revisit it in a few days, in a week, and see if you can take that little step. You'll be surprised at how much that small progress makes a difference. I mean, I really feel like I'm not in the dark like I've been for the past year. It doesn't take away all of the sadness. There's still triggers. There's still things out there that make me miss my baby. I still have moments where I may cry out of nowhere. But I'm at least able to let those tears flow, then take a deep breath and say, okay, what's next? Because his memory is not going to go anywhere. I will keep his memory alive. I'm not saying I want to forget my son. I'll never forget my son. I'll never forget the life he lived, the legacy that he left behind in just 24 short years, the people he touched, the people who still come to me to this day to say how wonderful a person he was, or to say, you know, your son inspired me so much I'm doing this. So it's not to erase anything. The only thing you should be erasing is the dark cloud that's plaguing your life. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, because I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying, forget that you have this loss, forget that this person passed away. That's not the case. I'm still hurt over losing my job. I have a new job, and with this job, I'm going to be able to do the community outreach that I've been trying to do. So it's a new beginning. But I'm still upset over the job that I lost. I put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. I worked hard, and I work hard no matter where I am. To be in a position where I have to start over, it upsets me. But guess what? I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'll excel at this one. I'll probably never forget that job and how things happened and how everything turned out, because I'm a little scarred from that. But it's still taking the steps to move forward. You may be grieving a friendship. You may have had to cut off that friend who actually was not out for your best interest. So for your peace of mind, you had to distance yourself. It's not easy. And I'm sure if that's the case, you still miss that friend, especially if it was someone that you talked to on a regular basis, that you laughed with, but then found out, you know, behind your back, things may not have been going the same on their end. So for yourself, you had to cut them off. That's another process that you have to take a step day by day. That's another type of grief. It's not just death that causes us to grieve things. But once we realize that that grief has started to take over, we got to have a shift. We got to figure out a way to take our life back. It's a new life. Life won't be the same because something major has changed. But you have to take control of it. Don't let the grief control your movements, your words, your actions. Put it in its place. Because it has a place, unfortunately, but you put it in its place. I guarantee you'll feel so much better. It'll be like a little bit of weight has been lifted from your shoulders. And again, each little bit will add up. I don't know how long it'll take before you're feeling as close to yourself as possible. I don't know how long that's going to take for me. But I know that I'm in this to feel better. I'm in this to be a positive light, to be encouraging, to help myself as well as others. And I hope just this episode has been helpful to you. I wanted to encourage you. I wanted to illustrate the shift that I'm dealing with so that each episode isn't so dark, isn't so sad or depressing, because that's not what I want to do. I want to uplift you. I want to uplift myself. I still want to hear from you. I'd love to have you as a guest. You can email me at wearemighty24@gmail.com. I promise I will reply. Let's be on this journey together. We're here every other Friday, everywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can see me on Spotify and YouTube. But let's be mighty together in everything you do. Be true to yourself, be strong, and be mighty. And also, be encouraged. We'll see you next time.
They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.